Welcome to our first show for the year. I'm Shane Seeley, and Final Score. It's the place where you can get into some of that drama surrounding the world of sports with the help of some of our experts. Tonight, well, all eyes are on the Barbados national football team. Yes, they're doing battle in Grenada as we speak. So a bit later on, you'll get to hear from the Chief Media and Communications Officer, Anmar Goodrich-Boyce. He's also in St. George's with the touring Barbados Tridents as they prepare for what is More Nations League group action, and that's Group B. So we'll talk a bit about that a bit later on. In their first game, they were held to a draw. What does the future hold for them tonight, the Bajan unit? We'll have to wait and see. However, let's bowl off our debate tonight with West Indies cricket. The Windies men are currently on tour in South Africa after a relatively successful tour of Zimbabwe. Remember, they had the draw in the first test, so I say relatively because they should have won 2-0, but that's done and dusted. They held the sole warm-up three-day match. That was against a South African Invitational 11, and they're now set to face the Proteas on Tuesday in the first of two tests. The pitches in Zimbabwe were spin-friendly. In South Africa, it will be a different situation. The pitches should favor that strong South African pace attack, spearheaded by Anric Nortje and Kaigiso Rabada. So what will the Windies be bringing to the pitch as far as their best 11 is concerned? The squad reads Craig Brathwaite. He's the captain, of course. Dependable man at the top. Jermaine Blackwood, the vice-captain. Alec Athanasi, Tej-Narain Chanderpaul, Roston Chase in the mix as well. Joshua De Silva, he is behind the stumps. Shannon Gabriel is back in the squad. Jason Holder, Akeem Jordan, a really young, exciting talent in the bowling department. Then there's Alzari Joseph, the leader now. He's seen as the leader of the attack. Kyle Mears is in there as well, in the top 10 of all-rounders in the world at present. Gudakesh Moti, he had a good tour of Zimbabwe. Raymond Reefer, he still has a lot to prove. Kemar Roach, also another leader, and the veteran pace bowler in the attack, and Devon Thomas. Well, let's bring in the mix now. Former West Indies opener Philo Wallace, he's joining us live from the UK on Final Score. Good to have you on, Philo.
Good evening, Shane. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Let's talk about this team. How happy are you with what you're seeing on paper with the squad?
Well, the squad is the best that the selectors can do at the moment in relation to West Indies cricket. With Shannon Gabriel coming back and holding his own in that three-day game, and also in the test match, the final test match at Zimbabwe, it's always good to see him as the fast bowler doing well. But the squad itself, good. Craig Brathwaite obviously has been captain for a little while and has the team gelling quite nicely, and obviously he's molding them to what kind of cricket he wants them to play. And coming out of Zimbabwe with a 1-0 series win would have been good. It's good for them, for West Indies. Obviously, Brian Lara is also part of that management team, which will also help those young men. But coming out of Zimbabwe with a victory, mind you, it's only 1-0. I believe if we had pressed a little harder, we could have beaten them in the first test match, but we just feeling ourselves in. And to come out 1-0 to go into South Africa with some confidence, I think it is very good, because the South Africans are going to be a lot tougher than what we encounter in Zimbabwe.
You say it's the best that they could put together right now. Where are the question marks for you with this team? Let's start in the batting department.
Well, we don't have a proper number 3. Raymond Reefer slotted into number 3 in the test matches in Zimbabwe, but is he the number 3 down the road? I don't think so. So obviously the selectors are looking for a number 3. The 4-day regional competition will restart soon, and hopefully those young batters in the regional sides who bat between 1 and 6 be looking to put their hands up. We saw young Alec Anthony is given the opportunity. He's in South Africa. Will he get a chance to play? I doubt it very much. So again, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Reefer how well he can cope in South Africa at number 3. But number 3 is a specialist position. I'm not saying that Reefer is not capable enough. I don't think that when you look at a Raymond Reefer at number 3, if it really solves our problems. And then we still have the middle. I'm not so convinced that Jermaine Blackwood, he could, I think he's too erratic as a vice captain in his batting. To me, is not really what it should be for a senior batter. I know obviously thought that Blackwood would be giving us more. He gets the odd 50 and stuff like that, but to me, he's not consistent enough as that middle order batter. I'm happy to see Ross and Chase batting higher in the order, particularly in Zimbabwe. You have to be able to see now what's going to happen in South Africa. But he slotted into that middle order. He brought a little stability. His confidence seems to be coming back. And I hope that he can get the opportunity to bat higher in the middle in South Africa and showcase his talent, because we need people like Ross and Chase to bat well. We know what the two openers can do. They found it rather rough so far in South Africa, not getting any scores. So they'll have their work cut out in the test matches when they start next Tuesday. So to me, they need to solidify, the selectors need to solidify the middle. And then we are looking at we have a number of injuries to it, our fast bowlers. So obviously looking at the aging Kemar Roach, you've brought back an aging Shannon Gabriel. So these are question marks that obviously answers that we need questions we need answers for. Are these guys going to continue for another 2-3 years? We know India are coming in later in the summer in the Caribbean. So is Roach and Gabriel going to be part of that setup? Because the South African series is only 2 test matches.
Right.
And if you realize in 2 test matches, you have to pull the choke. You got to be on your P's and Q's.
Talk to me about Hakeem Jordan. Do you think that he gets a nod in this first test?
I can't see him getting a nod in the first test. I think he's a good cricketer. I'm not going to label him as a bowler. I think he's a good cricketer. He has good common sense, good control. If you look at his economy rates are very good. So he bowls the ball in a lot of areas to stop the batters from scoring runs. I mean, you look at him in this West Indies setup, I think that he's there for the future. He's one that we'll look to replace, either a Shannon Gabriel or even a Kemar Roach, and to join forces with Jaden Seal, who's going to come back. We can't rule out Anderson Phillips as well. So I think that when you have Hakeem Jordan in that side, it's giving him the opportunity to learn, so that when he does get his opportunity, he would just come in and hit his straps. And I think it's good for him, and I hope that he can grab him in both hands. In the warm-up game, he bowled well. He picked up 3 wickets. So it's a good start for him at the international level.
And then behind the stumps, we have, I would almost say the dependable, but I really can't because I would be stretching Joshua Da Silva with the gloves. What are your thoughts about him? Because there's Devon Thomas there waiting in the wings.
I believe that Devon Thomas is the best suited to keep a wicket. But obviously, Joshua Da Silva, he's the first choice. He gets runs. He labors for them sometimes, I think. But he gets runs. He holds that lower middle order together. We saw in that 3-day game, he actually, he got 2 decent scores. And he looks the part. I just think that his keeping needs a bit more work. Well, the acting head coach, Andrea Coley, is a former keeper, so maybe he'll spend some time with him. I think his gloves are a little too hard. He goes at the ball very hard, because I saw in that 3-day game he dropped a straightforward catch from off the opener of Alzari Joseph. A very straightforward catch. So, but he's there, and we have to continue to give him the encouragement to do. I think he can do a lot better, but we'll just have to hope that he can continue his good showing from this 3-day game and into the Test series. Obviously, the South Africans will have played against Joshua Da Silva, and they'll do their homework on him.
As an opener, you must really like what you're seeing from Tej Narayan Chanderpaul.
Yeah, he's the future. He looks good. The beauty about opening the batting is how many balls you can leave alone. And he leaves alone a lot of balls. And we saw in Zimbabwe, he batted a lot of balls for his runs. In South Africa, he's trying to do the same thing, but the South Africans are going to be a bit more aggressive because the surfaces in South Africa are going to support aggressive fast bowling. And so he needs to try to find the right balance in South Africa to be successful. But he looks good. I think he has a good partner in Craig Brathwaite, experience. So Craig will be showing him the ropes. I'm talking to him a lot. And we cannot forget that we have Brian Lara as our performance mentor in that camp. Another left-hander, brilliant batter, a masterclass batsman. And he will be drawing a lot from Tajiri Chanderpaul. And Chanderpaul should be looking to draw from Brian Lara as well. How to play and how to approach different surfaces. Because certainly in Zimbabwe, his technique was good. Australia, we saw him leaving a lot of balls and stuff like that. He looked good for a half century. But South Africa, the guys are going to come at him a lot, and he has to be able to deal with those deliveries. Because opening batting in South Africa is very difficult.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about the ODI setup now, because of course, the Windies, they're playing these 2 tests and then followed by the ODIs, 3 ODIs and 3 T20s, and there's been a lot of talk about these ODI teams. Of course, Shea Hope now, someone that we would hope to see in the test side, knowing the talent he has, 200s, twin hundreds in the UK. He had so much potential, but we are yet to see it in the test arena. Well, we saw glimpses, but consistently. Let's look at the one-day setup now. You have Shea Hope as the captain, Rovman Powell the vice, Shamar Brooks is in there, another talented one that you would believe could have held that number 3 spot, but is yet to make it his own on the test side of things. Yannick Correa is in there as well, Casey Carthy. Roston Chase gets back in the ODI setup. Shannon Gabriel is in there as well. Concerns about if he will break down or not before the series starts. Jason Holder, of course, he's the all-format player. Akil Hussein, Alzari Joseph, Brandon King comes back into this setup as well. Kyle Mears, another all-format player. Nicholas Puran, the former captain. Romario Shepherd, and O'Dean Smith. Do you like this one-day selection, this one-day squad?
Well, the selectors again have gone back for the guys who have been there, tried and tested. They've gone back for Shannon because Shannon had a good Super 50 competition. When you look at it, they have depth. Obviously, Alzari Joseph, as you alluded to earlier, he's the leader of the pack in the test matches, and I think he's the leader of the pack in this ODI squad as well. But a lot of work is going to be on Jason Holder. He has to be the one to stabilize, even in the bowling. I would like to see him put a bit more in his bowling. We have a new bowling coach in Kenny Benjamin. Kyle Mears as well is going to play a very important role in that ODI squad. I'm happy to see that. Well, they've gone for Correa. We're hoping that he would deliver the goods for us. I'm happy that Nicholas Puran has been relieved of his duty as captain. Now, Shea Hope has the opportunity to either keep wicket or don't keep wicket. I want to say congrats to Shea Hope for being appointed the captain, for accepting the job as captain. But obviously, Puran too as well is going to be key in the middle order. Where does he slot into that middle so he can be so destructive? We know he's a destructive player, but he didn't show it when he was captain. With that pressure off now, I think Nicholas Puran is going to be the key for us in that middle order. Brandon King, we know he's a talent. Again, lacks the consistency, and I hope that he will learn from going around the world playing all these T20 leagues. This is 50-over cricket, but you can still learn how to construct your innings. Shamar Brooks knows what he has to do. He's at the pinnacle of his career now. He knows that he has to perform. He's a talent. I mean, you get to a certain vintage, and talent is not all. You got to start producing. And when we talk about Shea Hope, we could speak about this young man from England called Harry Brooks, a special guy. He's coming into Test match cricket and he's batting free. But he's given a license to play what he knows, and he's been successful. And we were hoping that we can see something of that kind of quality from Shea Hope. And I hope that the ODI captaincy will give him the encouragement to go and bat the way he knows how to bat and perform. And maybe we could see Shea Hope wearing white clothes again and playing Test match cricket for West Indies. Akil Hussein, we know will hold his own in the middle with the slow bowling. He's been a revelation. And I just hope that all the other players, O'Dean Smith and Romario Shepherd, these guys really live up to their billing. They've been around the world now with T20 cricket. And it's about time now we see some consistency coming from O'Dean Smith and Romario Shepherd as well.
I want to come back to Shea Hope because, again, another opening batter in the one-day setup. He's done so well. He was in the top 10 ICC ranked players in the world for quite a while. And he has a healthy average in one-day cricket as well, somewhere above 48. I mean, that is wonderful for any ODI player. Any ODI player would like that average. What is Shea's problem in terms of translating these runs into the other formats?
I think when you look at the ODI, one-day cricket, the field placing is a lot different. He bats a lot freer when he's playing one-day cricket. He has that relaxation in the stroke play. And I think that the way in which he comes out in the ODIs, he looks more positive, more assured of himself. When he's playing the red ball format, I'm talking about Test match cricket, he doesn't look so assured. His foot movement is not good. He doesn't have the balance, and he's very indecisive of when to play and when not to play. We saw of late a lot of in-swingers getting them out on length and stuff like that. So I think in the ODI cricket, he's more relaxed. He realizes that he can go out there and throw his hands at the ball. There's no 3 slips or 2 gullies. He can throw his hands at the ball and they come off. In the Test matches, you see a white ball, you're thinking, boy, if I nick it, I'm going to get caught. There are 3 slips and 2 gullies. So all those things play on his mind. But I think that he needs to trust himself. And I hope that in this one-day setup, he's a captain. He'll be given a lot of leeway as captain. And I hope that he can go out there and express himself as we know he can. And not only think about one-day cricket and T20 cricket, but think about getting back into Test match cricket. When you're a Test match cricketer, you get more recognition. And there's more fame as a Test match cricketer than an ODI cricketer. And I would hope that Sheil use this opportunity to really push himself to get back into Test match cricket for West Indies.
Philo, I think he's missing the ball though, because of course he was just in Sri Lanka, you know, in one of those T20 leagues, doing his thing there. There was Bangladesh. It was, yes. You're right. Bangladesh. You're right, Bangladesh. But again, plying his trade in these T20 leagues, and there was 4-day cricket playing. So he had the opportunity. I mean, yes, you gotta look where the money is, but at the same time, you have to try to, as a player, you must know you want to be in that Test setup. 4-day cricket is playing. You can make yourself available for the Test team by playing that 4-day cricket and getting at least 200s, because it seems that like once you get 200s in 4-day cricket, you're almost a shoe-in into the team.
Well, you can score one and you can still get in. They're looking for batters. And obviously Sheil made a decision to go to Bangladesh. I don't know who would have sat down with him and spoke to him about it. But I think that when you're looking at a young man like him who had so much talent, who could be an all-format player for West Indies as he once was, you need sometimes to let them know, yes, we know you're looking at your future. You think that you don't have a future in red ball cricket, and you're looking to go to the bigger picture and play these T20 leagues. But we believe that if you can focus, give yourself another 15 months in West Indies cricket and red ball cricket, we believe that you can make it. And I think that this is where the lead selected the most honourable Dr. Desmond. He is. Maybe, I don't know if Desmond ever spoken to him, but just sit down and have a point-blank discussion with Sheil to find out if he is really interested in playing Test match cricket again, and just try to chart a way and help him to chart a way. We know we all want the dollar to survive. Things are not easy in the world today. But as you said, if you're looking to leave the game as a great, people always want to leave the game as a great Test match player. He scored twin hundreds at Headingley in 2017. No other bat in the world has done it. And here's a young man from 166 square miles who have done it. So he must have the pedigree. It's just for him now to develop his skills and his thinking and his ability to really work out situations and become a better player.
Right. I want to spend the last minute with you, and I only want to spend a minute on this team because this team has been disappointing for the past few matches. The T20 team, Rovman Powell has been given the opportunity to captain this one, and it looks a pretty decent squad on paper, but again, I think the bowling department is a bit weak. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the bowling again, you have Romario Shepherd, who we know goes a lot in T20 cricket, and he needs to tighten up. Odean Smith will have to play a big role as well.
Sheldon Cottrell too.
I'm not so certain how fit Sheldon Cottrell. I know he was playing some T20 cricket in the world. I was disappointed with what I saw of Sheldon Cottrell. I think he's lucky to get in here. Johnson Charles has been in Bangladesh, and he got some runs, so the selectors obviously has given him another opportunity. But a lot will depend. I think, again, Jason Holder will be the glue for the bowlers and the lower middle order. And then Nicholas Puran, again, he's been relieved of the captaincy. So obviously he now has an opportunity to showcase his talent. I want to congratulate Rovman Powell for being appointed captain, obviously from CPL and also the Super 50 Triumphs of Jamaica. But I think when you look at our T20 squads, they've disappointed us because that's the one format that we really do well in. We're World Cup champions twice, and we've just fallen off the ball so badly in this T20 cricket, and it really hurts because all these guys, maybe except for Corral and Brooks, they travel around the world playing cricket. My eye is going to be on a guy called Obey McCoy because he's been carrying an injury shade for so long. I would really like to know what kind of injury that he's carrying because he's selected in this squad subject to a fitness test.
Right. And I mean, we've seen how other teams deal with their injury reports. And I mean, it's a pretty transparent process. There are questions about how the WICB is dealing with that situation where injuries go, but we'll hope and wish them all the best as they apply their trade in South Africa, and we really hope that they can come home. It's an uphill battle playing in South Africa alone, hard to win there, but we'll wish them all the best. And thank you again, Philo, for spending the time with us and going through these teams and giving us your thoughts as a former West Indies top opener. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Shane. All the very best. And best of luck to West Indies and South Africa.
Yes, they will need it. All right, let's switch over to some football. Grenada, right now, they are doing battle against our homeboys. The Barbados Tridents are there, and they're hoping to do a bit better this time around. They came away with a draw in the first match. The second match, well, we'll see what happens. And Meanwhile, football is also making waves here on the ground. Spectators have been going to the Wildy Turf to see what's happening in the Premier League here. But I had a chance to speak to the Chief Media and Communications Officer, Anmar Goodridge, a bit earlier about the tour there to Grenada and get some perspective on what's happening with football in general here in Barbados. Let's talk about what's happening there first and the atmosphere there. Of course, Barbados, they finished the first game they played a few days ago, a 1-1 draw. Disappointing for them because I know that they would have been pushing for that win, that W. Talk a bit about what is happening with local football right now and the buzz there in Grenada.
Thank you so much for having me, Shane, and good night to our listeners and viewers. Yes, as you mentioned before, the Barbados men's senior national football team currently in Grenada. In terms of preparations for the CONCACAF Nations League matches, we play Cuba at home on March 23rd, and we also play Antigua and Barbuda in an away fixture on March 26th. So these three international friendlies against Grenada are really in preparations for those games in the CONCACAF Nations League. As you mentioned before, 2 days ago, the senior men's national team drew 1-1 with Grenada. We conceded very late in the 90th minute. We had a penalty, and then the rebound was scored by the Grenadian captain. But credit to the boys for sticking in and showing character and getting the equalizer. Young Tadio James, the 19-year-old from the Point St. Michael, scoring the equalizer for Barbados. Yes, a bit gutted that we didn't get the 3 points. I thought it was a case where we deserved to win the game. But Shane, these things happen in sports, and we regroup and rebuild ahead of the next encounter.
All right, listen, I want to talk about the quality of football. Everybody, I mean, there's a lot of football playing right now. There's Champions League, there's UEFA League, of course, EPL, La Liga, you name it, all the leagues are back in full swing on the heels of the World Cup. And coming off of the World Cup, Barbadians, they're seeing a quality type of football consistently in their eyes all the time, and then they're watching local football. You're seeing the stark differences in the level. What can you tell me about what's being done to try to improve the quality of football that is being played by our Barbadian players?
Well, yes, as you mentioned before, we do watch the Champions League, the Europa League, all of the big leagues around Europe, around the United States as well in terms of the Major League Soccer. We at home are also, trying to improve the standard of play. Obviously, we have 12 teams in the Barbados Football Association's Premier League. 4 teams will go down this time around as we try to get back our Premier League. To have 10 teams, we normally have 10 teams in our competition. But in terms of improvement, we've done a lot of work in terms of ensuring that we're doing administrative work in terms of making sure the players have a facility, which is very important. We talk about the standard of play all the time, and I think sometimes people don't understand that things like facilities are very, very, very important. So that's something that we're working on in terms of the FIFA projects.
Well, you have the facility now, the new turf, that looks good. Of course, it is FIFA approved as well. And then you have a new
Correct.
Coach in the mix too. Talk about how these things will add to the value and the quality of what we will see hopefully coming from the Barbados national football team.
Yeah. Well, Shane, if we want improved performances, I think is absolutely important and very critical for our footballers home to be playing on good surfaces. As you mentioned before, we do have the Wildy Turf, AstroTurf. I think is also important, for our first division, second division, third division teams to be playing, on good surfaces week in and week out. I think that is one area that we will definitely improve the standard and the quality of the game on the island.
Okay, so we're looking at the performances of the Barbados team. They have a game against Grenada. They're playing as we speak. What are your expectations going into this second match against Grenada?
Well, after the first match, we did see a lot of positive signs. Yes, we weren't able to get the win, but in terms of possession, in terms of creating goal scoring opportunities, those things were definitely there. In terms too of a number of our young players, Shane. This is a very young squad. I think the average age is around 22, 23. So I think it speaks, to our goals in terms of futuristic. We're definitely looking at the future and incorporating some of the younger players with some of the more experienced players. So I do expect, that we can go into this second game and get a result and try to build on the performance that we had 2 days ago.
Who are the ones to watch? Those players that you think stand out on the pitch for Barbados?
Well, I wouldn't want to single out individual players. As you know, Shane, 11 men make up the team on the pitch at a time. So I think it's a case where we have to stick together and have a holistic approach. I think once the boys unite as a team, I think that's very important, to stick together. We did had a couple of tough results. The last 4 or 5 games were extremely tough for the unit. I think it's important, that we can string together a series of results, which would be important, and it would build confidence moving forward.
How important is this Nations League qualification for Barbados' prospects going forward?
Well, we currently sit in 4th position in League A of Group B. So in terms of our chances of, staying in this league and staying ahead, I think are very tough at the moment. It's a situation that we will continue to fight until the very end. We definitely will be hoping that we can get 2 wins from our remaining 2 games. We play Cuba, as I mentioned before, on March 23rd, and then we play Antigua and Barbuda 3 days later on March 26th. So I think it's a case where we would be hoping that that we can come out with 2 wins from these 2 games, and I think that would help in terms of building our senior men's national team going forward. And like I mentioned, Shim, it's all about confidence. And I think once we start, to get the positive results, I think that would, do well for, football in Barbados and the national team on a whole.
Yeah, I really hope that the Barbados national men's team can string together a series of good performances and some good results. As you said, building confidence really helps. Once you get that win and you get that consistency with winning, you make it a habit, and that's what we're really hoping. Yeah. And we're also really aiming for some kind of improvement in the quality of play generally across the board. Of course, when you return, Anmar, we'll be keeping our eyes on the BFA, the Premier League, and seeing what's happening there. Really exciting stuff happening there. When does it get to the playoff stage?
Yeah, so it's a situation where, Shane, we started our Barbados Football Association's Premier League on January 26th, and as you mentioned, we've had loads of exciting games. We also want to say a big thank you to the Barbados public for the support that they're showing us in terms of the numbers that we're seeing at the World Turf. I think this speaks to the standard of play that we're seeing as well. A number of close encounters, exciting football. In terms of our league, we'll also be having the Champions Cup, which is a knockout round. And, obviously we saw the response from the general public, the officials, the players last year when we had the Republic Cup and we had the Women's Super League. So it is a situation where we are continuing to build on, that feedback that we saw from those tournaments. Also in the Champions Cup, we'll be having a home and away tie this time around. So I think we're trying to take the football into the communities, which would help to build the sport on the island and continue to build that interest. We're also starting the Women's Premier League this Sunday with 3 exciting matches at 4, 6, and 8. So I just want to tell Barbadians, come on down to the World Turf and watch some exciting women's football league. Obviously, you know as well, Shane, that women's football is very important to us in terms of we want to improve and develop our women's game as well.
And just to give you a little bit of a tease, of course, Ammar, they're mentioning what you can watch over the weekend. Test cricket is on right now. New Zealand is in action against England. New Zealand, the host. England 435 for 8 declared. New Zealand 29 for 3. Anderson, he's ripping out the heart of the New Zealand batting lineup. So that is something that you can watch. Also, all of the sports you want to watch are right here on MCTV, our C Sports channels, Sports Max, and of course our ESPN channels. Loads of football planned over the weekend. EPL, Serie A, and of course Spanish League, La Liga as well. Well, that's our time for this edition, the first one for the year of Final Score. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you next time.